Have you ever really thought about the book of life? It's one of those ideas in the Bible that's just so fascinating, and let's be honest, a little mysterious. Well, today we're going to dive into what it is and why it's considered to have such a massive impact on eternity. And right away, the Bible sets the stakes incredibly high. I mean, wow, this verse from Revelation doesn't mess around. It paints this picture of an ultimate, totally irreversible consequence that is tied directly to whether or not your name is in its pages.
So that brings us to the big question, right? What in the world is this book that seems to hold so much power and final authority?
Okay, so to get a handle on it, we've got to look at how it's described in different parts of the scripture. It's often presented as a kind of divine ledger, basically a definitive book of destiny.
You see, this book pops up in some really crucial moments. It's not just a passing comment. In Revelation, it's the list that determines who gets to enter the holy city, and it specifically holds the names of the Lamb's followers. But if you go way back to the Old Testament, you've got the prophet Daniel talking about it as the record of who will be delivered. And then bam, it shows up again as key evidence during the final judgment. So it's clear this isn't some minor detail, it's a thread woven through the whole story.
And that leads us to its most critical role, the ultimate judgment. The Bible lays out two very, very different paths, and this one book is presented as the final deciding factor. And the difference is just stark. On one side, for those whose names are written down, the invitation is to inherit the kingdom. But on the other side, for those whose names aren't there, the verdict is a truly chilling, "I never knew you." The contrast couldn't be more dramatic, and it really drives home the absolute authority this book holds in that final moment.
Okay, so this is the question, isn't it? If the stakes are that high, what does it actually take to get your name written in this book?
Well, to answer that, the Bible gives us this really interesting metaphor. The idea is it's not about a checklist of things you've done, it's about being properly dressed for the event.
Just look at this parable from Matthew. A king is throwing a huge wedding feast, right? But he spots a guest who showed up without the proper wedding garment. And when the king asks him, "Hey, how'd you get in here dressed like that?" the guy is speechless. He has no excuse. This story is so important because it shows that just showing up isn't enough. There's a very specific requirement you have to meet. So what is this wedding garment? Well, it's a metaphor, and it connects back to a concept from the prophet Isaiah, the robe of righteousness. And here's the key part. The idea is that this isn't a righteousness you earn yourself. It's something that covers you. It's a gift, not something you get paid for a job well done. So this all points to the one key condition the Bible uses for those whose names are secure in the book of life. The specific term it uses is to overcome. Now, to overcome here doesn't just mean you push through a tough time or win some kind of battle. It's described as something much deeper, a spiritual state of being completely united with Jesus. It means being born again, dying to your old self with him, living a new life through him, and standing in a victory that he has already won for you. So, really, it all boils down to this one crucial point, being found in him. And the emphasis here is that this state goes beyond your religious background or all the good things you've done or any titles you might have. It's all about a personal, spiritual identity that's totally rooted in him. But this might make you a little nervous. If a name can be written in a book, couldn't it also be erased? What about that fear of your name being blotted out? Because that idea of being blotted out is definitely in the scriptures, like in this verse from Psalms. So that creates some real tension, and it brings up a super important question. Is your name's place in the book permanent, or can you lose it? So let's just ask it directly. Once a name is in the book of life, is it there for good? Is its place truly permanent? And this is where we get the answer. For those who are in that state of overcoming, that deep spiritual union we were just talking about, the promise is crystal clear. It says their names will not be blotted out. Their security is tied directly to their position in him. And Jesus himself backs this up. He's presented as an advocate, personally speaking up for his followers before the Father. It's like having the ultimate representative in the highest court, making sure your name is acknowledged and secured forever. So, as we start to wrap this up, the ultimate takeaway is really this powerful shift in how you think about it. The goal isn't to make a great name for yourself through all your hard work. The goal is to simply have your identity completely and securely found in him. And that leaves us with one last really deep thought to chew on. According to this view, the final question the Book of Life asks isn't a checklist of your accomplishments. What have you done? Instead, it's a question about relationship. Are you known?